Evening. Ooh. Hold on. Turn your gaze away. Okay, now it seems like we're in business. Welcome. Some people like poetry. Some people. That is not everybody. Not even the majority, but the minority. Not counting the schools where one must, and the poets themselves, there will be perhaps 2 in 1,000. Like. But we also like chicken noodle soup. We like compliments and the color blue. We like our old scarves. We like to have our own way. We like to pet dogs. Poetry. But what is poetry? More than one flimsy answer has been given to that question. And I don't know, and I cling to it as to a lifeline. So that is by Szymborska, a great poet. And it is a poem that I often use in like day one of an intro to poetry class. So since we are honoring poetry teachers tonight, I also am a poetry teacher, I thought it would be fun to share that poem because I find it to be very effective in just kind of like talking about what is poetry and what does it mean and why do only some people like it? Perhaps only 2 in 1,000. But many of those 2 in 1,000 are here tonight, which is awesome. It is National Poetry Month. You are here at Poets and Pints. Woo! And Poets and Pints is brought to you by Cracked Walnut, which is affiliated with the League of Minnesota Poets. And very excited to be here. My name is Katie Vagnino. I'm hosting the first half of tonight. I see some of you have drinks, that's great. Feel free to continue to enjoy beverages throughout the evening. We have 8 featured poets tonight, which is awesome. You'll notice there are some pieces of paper and pens on the table. That's because, like all good writing teachers, we're gonna have some little free writing exercises perhaps throughout the evening. I think, as each poet reads and then comes back, I'll just pop up to introduce the next one and maybe throw a little writing prompt at you. Or if you just feel inspired by what you're hearing and want to write something, that's awesome. And then at the end of the night, we'll come and collect them at some point, and then we'll just draw some and share. So just get those creative juices flowing, aided by the alcoholic juices you might be imbibing. As I mentioned, I'm a poetry teacher, so I wanted to share a poem by one of my former students when I was teaching at the University of Wisconsin in Eau Claire. And this was a student who was actually in the very first Intro to Creative Writing class that I taught. And they were very, very good right off the bat. The first poem they brought to workshop was a villanelle about a squirrel. And this was a freshman, so I was like, wow. And they continued to, majored in creative writing, still are writing and publishing. And this was a piece, I messaged them today on Instagram and asked if I could share a poem. And they sent me this one. So this is by Oliver and Tony Krotchick. And it's called The Poet Finds Themselves While Cherry Picking with Their Catholic Family. I cross many borders to get to the lowest point of Michigan, to arrive late in the season. The small red fruit and their juices leak to our hands and down our arms, our elbows. Sticky residue, no regret. I bind my chest. We bend branches down so we can reach. Plink, plunk, in the metal pail, a wail of what I cannot say. Ask me why I have a boy cut, I'll say I was just feeling it. Say, Lisa, I turn my head out of instinct. Say, hers isn't something I can own. I can't voice my name, but in your throat I find myself. Tart, red, unstemmed at the bottom of a pail. Ooh. Wow. They're very good. Probably because they were my students. I taught them everything they know. So I'm going to bring up our first reader in a second, but I will read one of my poems if that's okay. It's like really short. It's so rainy and not spring-like yet, but I have a poem in my book, Imitation Crab, that
it's awesome.
That is about warmer, springier days. And it is soon going to be May. It's gonna be May. So some of you got that, thank you. I try to stay hip for the young people. This poem is called Mayday. In debutante gowns of ivory brocade and lace, we parade across the lawn and curtsy to the crowd in pairs, daisies braided in our hair. Our brothers and boyfriends watch from the sidelines, snickering at the girls who stumble and those they say shouldn't be wearing white. A Copeland song begins the dance. Around the maypole, we weave and unweave the satin ribbons patiently as an army of Penelopes. One girl is crowned queen and handed a bouquet of baby's breath and roses while the rest of us hide our heartbreak. Our mothers clap the hardest. They know how it feels to be on the cusp of 18 when everything still seems effortless as a daffodil. I also want to mention our featured artist tonight, Peter Stein. He is selling his art over there, so please take a look, support his art. He's also the outgoing president of the League of Minnesota Poets, which is awesome. But let's get this reading party started. I'm going to bring up our first reader, and I'm going to introduce her first, Kelly Travis. Kelly Travis, after years of writing and wanting to be part of a poetry community, I finally felt confident in making several moves to do so. At the start of 2019, I'm reading this in first person as Kelly, I became part of a local poetry organization called Lyricality. Is that right? Did I pronounce that right? Okay. Later this year, I joined Grandview Poets and League of Minnesota Poets. Woohoo, I did too. I'm currently the managing editor of Sunday Morning Lyricality, and I run a monthly Lyricality, TEA, circle, which fosters the art of compassionate connection through poetry and story with first-generation immigrants. As an ESL teacher, I run weekly classes within the Somali community, and we have a journal for healing where we look at a poem and write a weekly group poem together. I also promote poetry in my work as a library associate at my local library. Thank you. That's amazing, Kelly. Come on up.
Thank you. It's appropriate that I go first because it's only going to get better from here. All right. So this first poem is with my adult ESL students with the Cruz community at School District 742.
Let me fix this for you.
Thank you.
There you go.
Okay. All right. It's called The Blue Rug. The prayer rug is mainly blue, with highlights of yellow and black to center Mecca. The rug is old. It has had many clean feet on it 5 times a day. Find Mecca in the room. It's northeast in St. Cloud. Mecca is far, and the time is different. Now it is March. In a month, Ramadan begins. We think of Allah, take a bow, read the Quran, and repeat. The rug and the prayers bring feelings of happiness, calm, relief, brightness. The prayer rug brings us to pray 5 times a day. The prayer rug is more important than Shah. Shah is tea. All right, next poem is with my group of students that come to Lyricality. It's been 3 days of Ramadan. Every Muslim home is quiet and thoughts are pure. No music, no fighting, no problems, just sweetness. We are happy and calm, like the call to prayer. Warm, deep tones, like tea going down to break the day's fast. Now we're moving on to my own. Critical critiques are welcome. How I came about. She sat young and full of scare, her belly a swelling moon. She touches her stomach with one hand, and the other leans on her hip. There is nothing and no one around. Inside is a living life, a gift attached by a cord with no receipt, an unwanted parting gift to be with her for 9 months. The worst of it spent in the cold, bare autumn, gray with skies. She feels empty and so alone. Next. The eve of your birth. It's the eve of the new year, and it is simple, and it is cold. You are simply gone, and tomorrow is your birthday. It's the eve of your birth, and I'm at work. I had to update the patron's library account. I asked for her date of birth, and she simply said, 1/1/1952, I'm here to get books for my mom. She's 92, and I'm 70 tomorrow. She had your birthday. Your mom is 92. She gets to be 70. The universe conspires to remind me, you are simply gone. It's the eve of your birth. A woman stands simply before me, able to turn 70. It's been 10 months since your death. This is the only math I do. Count how long you become fine matter and set inside the hollow of an apple tree urn. It's the eve of your birth, and you are simply gone. I'm 70 tomorrow. Echoes indelibly through the stacks. It doesn't get happy from here. In lieu of flowers, I'm one of 4 adult children who are ever lost. 5 months after Dad dies, Mom dies too. This is our state. Another world, a dream, a test, a permanent run-on sentence. I lose days underneath covers. I wear pajamas to walk the dog, a faux pas I would never. Colors outside are muted, as if summer storms were coming. Dull, hazy molecules scatter the violet and blur the light away from sight, as if base has been erased. A Ziploc baggie of sleeping pills in my sock drawer is unoriginal. I just want to pause. I'm one of 4 adult children, the oldest, also bereaved. A tall, godless child. I might be here for months, years, forever, without a mom and a dad. I'm one of 4 adult children in lieu of flowers. We ask for cards of memories of mom and dad, but people feel better giving something that fills the hands. In lieu of flowers, please. We have enough to carry. Our hands are full. Last one. Listen carefully or you might miss it. My biological mother's mother. March 27, 2022. She died on a Sunday morning. The woman who set my fate. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much. So, little writing prompt. You all are familiar with haiku, I imagine. So, instead of a haiku, take a crack at writing a tanka, which is similar to a haiku. It's a 5-line poem. And like the haiku, starts out like a haiku. First line is 5 syllables. Second line is 7 syllables. Third line is 5 syllables. And then lines 4 and 5 are both 7 syllables. So I like to tell students it's like a haiku wearing clown shoes. So take a crack at writing a tanka. You could riff on one of the themes in one of Kelly's poems. You could reflect on the recent massive triple threat religious holiday we just experienced. You could reflect on loss, on spring, on whatever you want, but write a tanka if you can. And I'm going to bring up our next reader, Heather Lyke. Heather M.F. Lyke is a writer living in southern Minnesota. During the day, she works in education, where she is known for saying yes to far too many things, underestimating how long projects will actually take to complete, and communicating in metaphor. In the evening, she mainly focuses on the metaphors. Lyke has spent much of the last 2 decades teaching high school students and adults of the art of creative writing, the art of the novel, and the art of instructional practices. Currently, she is also a staff writer and podcast host for Third Eye Education. Her nonfiction focuses mainly on the art of teaching and learning. However, most of her work is poetry, which often stems from her strong sense of place. Her poetry can be found hanging on the walls of a Northfield tattoo parlor and in various literary magazines and anthologies, including in Parentheses, I can never say that word. Parentheses, human to human, from pandemic to protest, and constellate. Please welcome Heather.
My husband's family always says it's not a party until someone spills, and I feel like it's not a poetry reading until someone can't pronounce a word. So it's now officially a poetry reading. Thank you. So I'm going to start actually. Okay, Jean, can you tell me when I have like 10 minutes so I know I'm finished? Yeah. Thanks. Okay, thanks. Just be like, Heather, you hit 10. Okay. I have no plan. So, because that's the way teaching works sometimes.
Right.
That's right. So I'm going to start actually. I have a poem. So I've been teaching poetry and creative writing since 2002. And in 2015, I was starting to think, maybe I don't have what it takes to be a creative writing teacher, right? And then this one student, you know the student, they walk in and they're so moldable, right? Her name was Shay. And Shay, this is a poem that, one of the first poems that Shay wrote where I went, ooh, this is a student that's gonna keep me teaching creative writing. Song of Cold Coffee, and I'm sharing this with her permission. I leave broken brush strokes of ice in the palm of cold spoons, swirling the leftover coffee spills once dizzied by the crazy stir of a hand. The lost buzz and pull of the liquid, the whole echo of the cup. It is easy to watch the lips touch the rim, the fingers hug the handle, the eyes close with warmth. Soon the coffee pools at the bottom cold, placed beside the open sink, sitting by to be washed. I'll share another one with you as well. A different student of mine. So I currently work in a small school district in southeastern Minnesota, and we have no creative writing class there. My job is actually to support teaching staff. But there's still this little group of creative writing students who somehow found me. And so we get together just kind of in the hallways periodically, and we celebrate every time we get a rejection letter on Submittable. That's what we do. That's our whole relationship. Congratulations. If you were one of my students, I would now give you some M&Ms. All right. So this is a poem that was shared by one of those students. It's a mini prose poem. Luck isn't real. It is what foot I step forward with, what hand I put out, what face I put on for the world that leads me to the beautiful consequence that is life. Karma isn't an excuse. She can't get that one published. Guys, Submittable keeps saying that it's not the right fit. You guys know the letter. Jean Prokott's going to read later. And I emailed Jean or texted Jean, I don't know. I connected with Jean somehow, and I'm like, Jean, I don't know what to read. And she's like, you're reading Minnesota Martini. So here you go, Jean. This is for you. But also it's for my husband, I mean, to be honest. And we're at a bar. Minnesota Martini. I'm still in the hallway, but already I know my husband is boiling wild rice brats, the grain belt premium bubbling. I pause to breathe deep, let the kitchen in. Rounding the corner, he is there, leaning on the counter, aproned and intent, fussing while unfazed by steamed lenses. Seeing me, he sits down a neoprene tong. A quick kiss. Then with lips still lifting off my cheek, he turns to grab the no-nick glass. He opens the fridge, pulls out another beer. He finds the jar of oversized olives. He slow pours me a pint of love. So I was debating on what pieces to share tonight, and I'm actually working on a collection right now that all kind of cycles around teaching and education. And for me, one of my biggest educators was my grandma Avis, who passed away a few years ago. And so this poem is for her. It's about her. Plants need watering. right? Spring, right? Plants need watering. Head tipped back, I savor the last of my soda, sweetness still on tongue, as I wedge my hand into my glass. I fish out ice not yet melted. Reflexively, my arm curves and the cube falls between my fingers into the dirt of my golden pathos. Time tips back. I'm 6 and sitting in the late summer sun on the steps of my grandmother's back deck, worn wood burning the base of my thighs, I hear a wet racetrack, running in loops and turn. She's dipping long fingers into a now empty lemonade, chasing ice cubes in circles around the bottom of her glass. Once finally palmed, race finally won, she slips each imperfect sphere into the soil of her duet dahlia. The sunlight shimmers, off water transformed, glistening until it subsides into full darkness. Soil enriched, roots welcoming, and now, for a second, maybe 2, I feel my grandmother's cool, wet fingers slide beneath the base of my chin and lift my head. Her voice melting with wind. Grow. Breathe. I also have an obsession with artwork. So I have this friend, the social studies teacher. I actually had a crush on him when I was in high school. You know who I'm talking about. And he looks distractingly like my husband, which is sometimes really weird because they're now in the same social studies department. I know, it's a thing. And he and his wife host us every year for a social studies party. And his wife has this beautiful artwork collection, but there's this one that every time you use the bathroom, you can see it hanging in their bedroom, and I don't like it.
Good story.
Your artwork is a fake. Your artwork is a fake. Sharp curve of left hip, subtle twist of spine, base of breast resting round with nipple centered hard. Her thin fingers breeze the base of her erect pale neck. She lifts midnight oceans of moonlight hair into the tangles that you wish your fists were making. Shadow of ass cleft plunging into the darkness between the base of your hard polished brass. You framed fallacy. Pencil lines too fine. Shading blended too pure, the contour sweeping too soft. You've outlined a woman revised. Paint me. One tit off center, fat ass dimpled curls frizzed in knots pre-made. Full figured realism. Stretch me on your fucking canvas. Mount me on your wall. Look at teacher's line is really nice. This one's a little bit longer. There's this drive-through coffee shop that on the mornings that I don't go to McDonald's for my $1 large Diet Coke, I go to Mocha. And right, I know there's some people who know they love the Mocha. And there is this one barista. This is the barista. To the guy at the drive-through coffee shop who thought me sexy for driving a stick. Thank you. Too often, it's a gas station attendant who wonders if a 6-shifter gearbox is too much for me to handle. Or the car salesman who is surprised to learn a manual transmission is more important to me than the car's color. So thank you for asking me about my horsepower without conditioning it with an "I'll wait for you to check your owner's manual," and for sharing your car history with me based on the assumption that I care rather than the belief that you're boring me. And thank you for asking to drive my car just as my husband often does, because both of you see power as an asset. And for asking not because you don't think I can't handle it, but because you want to know what it feels like to experience the control and strength that I single-handedly manage every day. And thank you for sharing for sharing that you wish your girlfriend had the confidence to drive a stick, because that shifted light onto the real problem. We raise our girls to be nothing but coquettish and kind, and we raise our boys to think that's acceptable. So thank you for realizing that that is bullshit. Too often, it's my own father wondering if I'm emasculating my husband by holding a higher degree, by making more money, or my own brother who shares with me that my losing a few pounds is all I need to be beautiful, to be finally wanted. So thank you for telling me that I'm sexy in a very respectful and not at all catcallish way because of my transmission and because of my horsepower. You and I both know that what makes me sexy is what is under the hood. It is that I am in control of what gear I am in and that I can pass any man on the road. And also, thank you for the free skim milk mocha. That's 10? Okay, that's 10. I have 10 to 13.
Yeah. Throw in one more.
I'm at 2 short ones. All right, since we're talking about education, artful thinking. Occipital lobe snaps signals, synapses them like tree branches to frontal lobe to the birds of my brain that take flight on cue. Pure cerebellum coordination. No time to let pools of thought float in active, relaxing, and teal ponds of peace. Ideas in longitudinal migration adjust. Seek more resources. A cortex vortex folds left side to mirror right, cross the midline in a Rorschach reflection of genius, for thinking is an art.
All right.
And I have one tiny last one because it's meant to be spoken and not read on the page. So I don't have it published anywhere because it loses its impact. So here it is for you guys today, just for you. You can play with my words anytime. All phrases can be turned innuendo if you're creative. If your vocal inflection is refined, unrefined. I'd prove it if this was a speech, but it's a poem. A poem.
Thank you so much, Heather. That was awesome. Next little writing game, prompt, whatever you want to think of it as. This is another common one I use kind of in my intro class. The object poem. So the idea here is to really just focus on imagery, not try to tell a story or write about a giant abstract feeling or idea. Ground yourself in an object of some kind. And I would even challenge you to pick an object in this room and really just try to describe it in as many different ways as you can. It sounds really easy, but when you actually try to do it, it can be tricky. But it grounds you in kind of concrete imagery, no ideas, but in things, that good stuff. So pick an object in this room, try to describe it. Bonus points if you can use some kind of figurative language, like a simile or a metaphor. What is this object like? So that's your little exercise for now. Our next reader is Chavonn Williams Shen. Chavonn Williams Shen is a McKnight Poetry Fellow, a first runner-up for the Los Angeles Review Flash Fiction Contest, and a Best of the Net Award finalist. She is a graduate of Carleton College and got her MFA at Hamlin. Is it Hamlin? Yes. Hamlin University. I'm not from here, so I see that and I'm like, Hamlin. line.
That's wrong.
She was also a Pushcart Prize nominee, a winner of the Locke Literary Center's Mentor Series, and a fellow with the Gibbons Foundation for African American Literature. A Tin House and Vana Workshop alum, her writing has appeared in Diode, Anomaly, Yamasi, don't know how to pronounce that one, Cosmonauts Avenue, and others. When she's not teaching with the Minnesota Prison Writing Workshop, which is an awesome organization, she can be found at home obsessing over her plants. Please welcome Chavonn.
This one for you.
This is the first in-person reading I've done since the pandemic. It's so exciting to see people and hear people and not be on mute. So I have some poems. All of them are really short, and by short I mean maybe 10 sentences. So we'll see where that takes us. My first one is from one of my students, B. He is currently at Stillwater Prison. It's called A Phone Call with Good News. My love tells me there's a full moon tonight, bright enough to unzip the night's black dress, the city's pale flesh flushed with moon glow. I half smile, nod, satisfied that somewhere outside this prison, the dark contains a body of light. I'll have to tell him that you all liked it.
Yeah.
This one is a found poem. It's called How to Lose a Lover in 7 Words or Less. I use this restaurant in California called India Clay Oven. It's from Yelp reviews. I will try to stay present. I will certainly be reasonable. I've honestly only tried. I was very generous. We've had our preferences. This isn't meant to torture you. I'll come back when the cravings hit, but don't expect too much. You're better off going elsewhere. We continue to be savages. I don't know why I still run. This is a poem about me falling off a boy's bike. It's called Why Not to Pick Scabs. Because the boy with the bike whose handlebars held you from South High to home would see the bruises you got when you jumped off too early. Picking scabs might leave scars, your mother said as she removed gravel from cuts with your legs extended on the bathtub's edge. Bulky bandages expose the truth faster than you can disagree. But that was long ago, and you're grown now, or at least you want to be. Legs extended and a skirt far above your knees, so that the boy with the bike might look a little too long. You wait to pick the scab until it's just right, when it's ready to jump off anyway, the skin nude-colored enough to keep this secret. If you pick too early, the boy might not let you write again, might say it's too dangerous. Look at your scar, he might say, as if it's proof that his handlebars shouldn't hold your blame. This one's called When Emily Dickinson Willed Her Poems to Be Burned. Robbed of our birthright, you knew how one makes monsters. Do you know which words burned brightest in your sister's hand? Which words turned your poems into ash after lines were crossed out for the umpteenth time, perfection ever longing? Which words danced the longest as they became smoke? When you willed your work to be destroyed, did you feel freedom in your fingers? This one's called Self-Portrait as a Chair. Consistently stepped on for others to reach higher places. Not useful when missing screws. Utility based solely on activity. No one uses me to make a fashion statement. Often needed for certain locations. The kitchen, the office, and sometimes outside of the ground isn't good enough. Tends to shake if under too much pressure. In frequent need of repair. This one's called The Day They Found the Teeth. It's based on a true story that I fictionalized. On October 30th, 2018, construction crews found close to 1,000 teeth in an office wall in Valdosta, Georgia. Local police suggested that they may be from dentists who occupied the office prior. Yeah, it's bizarre. The day they found the teeth, there was no rain. No thundering voices to cast judgment on the town's residents. No old women stuck in rocking chairs in front porches with claims that building always had bad juju. There were no crows or black cats to bring any omens. No strangers had stayed the night before. There was just a rattled mare, a lost construction crew, and a few lonely kids who snuck past foreboding tape to steal teeth by the handful. Parents crept into bedrooms at their child's request to trade a molar for spare change. But instead, they were met with others' teeth. The children had no coins to greet them upon waking, just more nervous screams. This one's called Trees Noun. A plant native to the Americas. Trees are like graves, except trees grow by themselves. Used in a sentence. Magnolia trees are a pastoral scene of the gallant South. Another. That tree across town had the best figs, but after last summer, I won't go near it. Synonyms: uncle, cousin, brother. This one's called Waffle County. It's the county that my dad was born in Mississippi. 1. Ode to the sidewalks that lead to my grandfather's house. My father once told me how his father often pushed him into the street. No traffic to fear in this small town. Just white folk mad that a black boy almost brushed the hems of their shirts. 2. Ode to the tree near my grandfather's house. Its branches built for swinging, ropes wrapped around its boughs held a cast-up tire in place. Older cousins taught those younger how to lean back before their feet met the grass, how to twist the rope so tight that head spun with each release. And I have 2 more. This one's about my grandmother. It's called To Be Soft. My grandmother's hands were like figs dried in the Mississippi summer. Her scars read like love notes. Calluses born in cotton fields, mason jar lid imprints on her palms, freckled pricks from needles left in purses, burns near her right wrist. She was slow with chicken grease. Sometimes she lathered dishes and scrubbed the same cup until its shine rivaled finery seen in the Sears catalog she loved to keep. She dreamt of mansions up north filled with linen only meant for others to envy. Her help would press stubborn shirts and fetch her coat if the wind even whispered of frost. They'd rub lavender on her hands until she was soft as watered earth. They cleaned windows for her to watch lesser women pass by, their hands rough like cracked dirt. Thoughts fixed on to-do list, their own overseers. I have one last poem. This is from a student named Bino. He is currently at Moose Lake Prison. It's called Therapy. Walk out into the ocean. When the water reaches your navel, lie flat. Swim until you are too far to return. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chavonn. The day they found the teeth. That's gonna stay with me for a while. So in the spirit of that, your next little micro poem should use the word teeth. It can be about teeth, or it doesn't have to be about teeth, but it's gotta use the word teeth.
And you should put them in the box, but you don't have to put your name on them.
Yeah, it can be anonymous.
We're gonna do something with them, but don't worry.
All right, I'm gonna bring our next reader up here. Her name is Jean Prokott. Jean Prokott's poetry collection, The Second Longest Day of the Year, won the Howling Bird Press Poetry Prize. And she is the author of the chapbook, The Birthday Effect, and she is the recipient of the AWP Intro Journals Award and of the League of Minnesota Poets Grand Prize. She has poetry published in Verse Daily, Rattle, Arts and Letters, and Rhino, among other journals. Several of those have rejected me. She lives in Rochester, Minnesota, and you can also find her online at jeanprokott.com. Come on up, Jean.
Hello, you're gonna tell me at 10, Ashley?
Sure.
Okay. Oh. I've said "oh" like 20 times today. I've passed behind too many people. Sneak right past you. I wasn't gonna read this first, but it's actually about teeth. So I feel like this is a new one I wrote after going to the dentist last week. It's called "The Final Question on the Dentist Form Asks, is there anything you don't like about your smile?" Is this what you ask all the girls? No, my smile's fine, thanks for checking. But it's complicated, or does it matter since I rarely look at my own smile? Because I've stopped taking pictures altogether, as they're only reminders that my trash body has reached its potential of trash. That new weight has distributed itself like the pillow the dog needs for minutes before he ovals himself into it. I hate the space between my canines on the right side, which if viewed from the right certain angle provides a shortcut, a secret road to the tongue, which is where the bad words are hiding. Fucking goddamn it. Perhaps a better question. Is there anything you don't like about this form? Because yes, firstly, this whole question is so you can sell me adult braces, incisor cufflinks, jello mold prisons. And that question on page 1 asked me to identify my bipolar. And I'm not sure why the dentist needs to know about that unless it said bimolar, and I got confused. And fuck would I love to bite twice as hard. I'd love for him to find my depression in the cavity where the mercury albumin has deteriorated. Fill it in. My mouth is already full of silver. Find my mania buried in my soft palate, my anger swinging my uvula like a wrecking ball. I have a dirty mouth. Some budding nonsense on my tongue is looking for an excuse to fuck things up. Sure, clean these teeth. Let me know what you find. Is there anything you don't like about it? Okay, I'm gonna read a poem. I'll read a couple of poems from students. I teach in Rochester. I have the pleasure of teaching creative writing, so I get to see really good stuff all the time. And we're not supposed to have favorite students, which I don't, but this is my favorite student. Their name is Lyke. They're so good. Okay. It's called Wires to Bend the Branches. And we worked on this so much. They came in every day. We revised. It's just, I'm very proud of this poem by them. Wires to Bend the Branches. I inherit the bonsai tree after my grandfather's funeral. Lanky-legged azalea sleeping in a kiln-baked cradle of dirt. I promise my aunt I won't kill the $56 tree. Seat out the pot on the 10-hour drive home and begin to read. Use constant moisture, natural fertilizers, wires to bend the branches. Manipulate the lush into whatever shape you desire. It blooms at the end of May, not full blossom, but pale rosy buds. It dies for good in July. I stop sending my aunt photographs once the white and pink bubbles disintegrate. I crumble leaves to dust in my palm and tell my father I need help, that I couldn't bear thinking I caused the collapse of such fragile stars. He sighs, tell me he doesn't know trees, but he does know trees don't live forever, especially not measly funeral parlor ones trapped in a bowl of dried clay. We ask his coworker, the head gardener of the hospital grounds for 38 years, what we could do to bring back the peak of spring. The gardener grew bonsai in his greenhouse at home. I had seen the thicket of little green giants next to where he tied fishing lines on rainy afternoons. He told me, a year before he would die of a brain tumor, to repot the tree gently, shower it in sunlight, and check the roots for overwatering or disease. Parasites sometimes live in the soils. They shrink away in the light, so most people don't catch them. Most people don't care much. He was right about the bugs. They had borne through the roots and burrowed in the twiggy trunk until the water trickled away, evaporated back into atoms of hydrogen and oxygen, and all that was left was a skeleton of a stick in a pile of shriveled hair dough. I wonder what would have happened if I'd urged him to look in the mirror, to pick out his hair piece by piece until his head became smooth bark. Maybe then he would have found his own parasite. Maybe then you would have lived. Okay. I'll read another student poem, which actually also is about parasites. I don't know what I'm teaching you guys. Okay. This poem is by Nick, also my favorite student. It's called Parasite. The first time she felt him in her stomach, she thought he was the butterflies people always talked about. His slender white body would twitch around her gut, bathed in half-digested food, crawled into a mangled knot, clamping his hooked mouth onto pink, fleshy walls. Every time he took a sip from her, he writhed with glee. Worn out and chewed from the inside out, her pale body rests on scratchy bed sheets. Ragged breaths float in and out of her nose. A thin white ribbon snakes out the corner of her mouth, and he drapes himself across her face, lying motionlessly in the place of a smile. The workshop was just like, oh shit. Like, just have those times, yeah. Sorry. Okay, this is another new one that I wrote in a staff meeting, so teachers will understand. And then I cried in front of my principal at that same meeting, so everything's going fine. I really am okay. But we had an assignment to write a reflection. And so I was like, well, obviously I'll write a poem. And then we had to share them with groups, and it became a thing. So it's called An Open Letter to My Future Self After My Literal Worst Year of Teaching. Last week, you religiously checked the live feed of the car parked on the lake's ice, the junker they used to measure the exact moment of ice out, and hoped it drowned, smashed into the water like the target had been hit on a dunk tank. Instead, it went tire by tire, tilted forward each day until it leveled and bobbed, and then it was roof, and then it was gone. It will not stay underwater forever. The city needs it to practice for emergency. A fake alarm rings and the firemen spandex themselves into scuba gear. They dive under and practice saving the fake victims trapped in the trunk. They're excited for you.
Yeah. Don't forget to tell people that's your
Oh yes, my book is for sale. It's on my table.
Really good.
Yeah, let me know if you're interested. 15 bones is the cost. Okay, I'll read a couple from my book and then I will sit down. Okay, this one is called Head to Toe for all of you lovers of American geography. Head to toe. You know the man in the middle of America, MIMAL, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, hat, head, shirt, pants, boots. Some see an elf, big hat, jingle toes, and some see a chef, pot belly and hot pan, frying up some Kentucky. But can you see his Tennessee dick? MIM, Tennessee dick, AL, Southern boner, erect volunteer. Walk along his Mississippi River stitching, but be careful not to let your Louisianas get wet. Oh, middle, great experiment, Frankenstein's American monster, filthy form. What are you thinking of your accursed creators? We keep fucking it up, don't we? Our hubris. Our thoughts rambled in the fields of paradise. You might have spoken, but we did not hear. There was no hand stretched out. Only Tennessee dick stretched out, seemingly to detain me. This one is called How to Vanish. We begin as circles, then become ovals and cylinders and polytopes and bipyramids and trapezohedrons, and if we're lucky, great dodecahedrons. The doctor hands me a pie chart divided into carbohydrates and proteins and fats. Says just get in shape. And I diagnose myself with shape-itis, a tragic rhombus. What wouldn't I give to be skinny isosceles or equilateral Bermuda? Magnetic fields spin my compass. My corners are not acute, but obtuse. Okay, I'll read one more. Oh my gosh, which one?
We still have 3 more minutes.
I know.
We're good.
Okay, this one is called The Loneliest Birthday in the Galaxy, and it's based off of the robot that landed on Mars named Curiosity. So when it landed, after a year, they wanted to play it Happy Birthday. So the scientists did this like doo 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 doo. But then they realized it cost too much money to play Happy Birthday, so they just did it one time, which is really sad. So just one Happy Birthday. It's called The Loneliest Birthday in the Galaxy. Curiosity hums in EDM, a little arpeggio at the end, 208 million miles from home. And my God, I wish I could go to its party, put on a triangle hat, zoom to the blue sunset, invent new words for dawn. A day on Mars is a soul. A year on Mars is 688 souls, or 1.88 Earth years. So, 88% more presence. What does one get a robot for its birth soul? Perhaps 2 rising moons, Phobos, the giant walnut, Deimos, the warped skull. If a robot hums Happy Birthday into space, does it make a sound? Curiosity celebrates like a drunk undergrad, sends robot selfies back to Earth, at Mars Curiosity, hashtag no filter, hashtag power hour, hashtag are robots alive, hashtag My God, I'd love to be there, hiding my footsteps in its tire tracks. This is when it carried me on the butterscotch of Mars. How many different ways can you begin something? Curiosity sings his Nintendo tune, but he doesn't have a candle for his cake. Since there's only 0.1% oxygen on Mars, he can't sustain a flame. He's just a robot, but Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jean. I'll be entitling my next collection, Tennessee Dick. Gonna send around this clear box. If you are able to donate something to the the League of Minnesota Poets / Cracked Walnut, that would be amazing. Not obligatory, obviously, this is free reading, but if you are able, the money will go to support events like this and other poetic efforts put on by the League of Minnesota Poets. So I'll just start sending it around.
So we have a donation button on our website.
I know, if you don't have cash, there may be a way for you to donate online.
Crackwalnut.com.
Crackedwalnut.com.
There's a donate button.
There's a donate button. So we are going to take a break for 15-ish minutes. Please check out the art, Peter Stein's art. Refresh your beverages. Continue working on your poems. If you need another, put them in the box. Another fun prompt, acrostic poems. Yeah. So, I mean, you can pick any word you want, or you can use your name. Names are kind of fun. So you basically write out the word or your name vertically. So like, if I were Heather, I would do Heaather. And then each line of my poem has to start with a word that starts with that letter. So the first line would have to start with an H word. The next line would have to start with an E word. So again, it's a fun little gamified sort of form. The acrostic, good one for students. So write an acrostic poem if you feel so inclined, and put any of your poems in this box here, and we will have a fun little micro poetry reading at the end of the evening. We have some poems going in the box. Excellent. Okay, enjoy yourselves. We'll be back in about 15.
One more. Damn it. Hello. Hello. Oh, okay, good. One more quick announcement. I think that Jean is going to be leaving very soon, right?
Yeah, after the break.
So after the break, so if you want to buy Jean's book, which you should because it's awesome, talk to her now. Don't wait till the end of the show. Okay, that's all.
Just to teach.
School night.
Just to drive very, very far.
Hashtag school night.
Grab it from the table and then just sing.
Oh, it wants from
Oh, yeah,
Monday,
those
so.
churches do that. Go look at the art too, please. Don't forget there's an artist here, a visual artist. There's a bunch of artists, but there's a visual artist. And you should look at his stuff and buy a bunch. So, yeah. Come on, it's anonymous.
I wrote my name on it.
Hard to make.
Oh, yeah, it is.
They're really
So much challenge. Yes. Michael Clever Dick. Yeah. Wait, which one? Oh, David Foundation. Yeah, I know really much of it. I was the one right after. I keep it tomorrow. I'll have to tell them Oh, yeah, you know. Chavonn definition
I know we see each other.
I crossed the midway once. Well, that's what I probably use my midnight money for. I know. Like I remember Marshall. When you go up, here the next one. On the last one. I don't usually come out. I'm sure it'll be amazing. I'm trying to transpose.
If you haven't been told, the bathrooms are out that door right there. Just so you know, if anybody doesn't know, that way to the bathroom.
He just like. And he just had no idea what Ryan said.
I love them.
These are from Ivory Direct.
They don't have that many white.
See, I have a very tiny thing.
Unbidden, like no one else was smart. Jane was just like,
Yeah.
It's okay. Lyke has a great.
Hello, everybody. What'd you all get here? No, nothing on that? Something's in my throat. All right. So we got two books to give away that are the Moccasin, which is the publication from the League of Minnesota Poets. So is it right that the people in here are winners of the poetry contest? Is that the way this works?
No, it's a members publication.
Just a members
If
publication.
you're a member, you can submit work and then they select from the members.
So if you're a member of the League of Minnesota Poets, which is a whole $25 a year, so come on, you can get in this book. So if you're, lamenting about your submittable rejections, It's a lot easier to get into this book here. So,
It takes previously published poems as well too.
takes previously published poems, Gene.
Gene.
I was just trying to think somebody's published right off the bat. Charlie's published now. We're gonna celebrate him another month though. We're gonna get him on here. Hopefully next month. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna really try. All right. So I have 2 numbers written down on a piece of paper. We're just gonna have people guess 1 through 100. Who's ever closest? Or if you hit it, I'll give you a book. Yes or no? No?
3.
No?
Well,
No?
you can skip me.
I can skip you.
1 through 100?
Yeah.
37.
Oh my God, you guessed one. You seriously did. I will show you. All right. I thought this would take forever. Right here? No?
77.
Oh my God, you guessed another one. 37 and 77.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
I'm sorry I didn't get to the other side of the room. It just worked out that way. But we have other copies that you can buy.
77.
You're too late. All right, well, this show's only half over, so let's get going here. What do you say? So I appreciate everybody who's here, and I appreciate that we are celebrating poetry teachers. This is an idea I had. Actually, last year when we did this virtually, we did a National Poetry Month. And I was like, next year we should actually just really dive into the people who teach people how to do this thing that we love. So that is what we're doing now. The box, like we said, is going to be a thing we're going to do at the end where me and Katie are going to read your poems. So if you don't want to put your names on them, that's fine. You don't have to, but put stuff in the box. We're just going to go back and forth with some of these micro poems. But before that, we got more features, so let's get to it. The next person is a very good friend of mine. Their name is Ashley Cardona. Ash Cardona holds an MFA from Augsburg University. She lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota, close enough, with her husband, daughter, and 2 naughty but charming dogs. She's got 2 daughters as well. This is an old bio. Where she teaches high school students to care about language. Sometimes she's successful at this. Her poems can be found in Punt Volat, Poached Hair, The Dollhouse, Lumina, and Poetry City, USA. On Instagram and Twitter, you can find her at AKV Cardona. Everybody, please put your hands together for Ashley Cardona.
All right, so because I take pictures for the Instagram, I said I would do something.
The ground.
You know, the gram. Doing it for the gram. Okay, the first poem I'll read is by a student from a few years back. Her name is Rachel, and this is called FOMO. She very dutifully wrote out fear of missing out. We know what that means. Okay. People used to ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up, saw the mountain ranges in my eyes and my curious hands, heard my voice full of wonder and questions, and figured I had dreams as wide as a child's smile. They were right. By the time I was 8, I had the perfect answer for anyone who asked me about my future. I said I would be the world's first mom, vet, astronaut, president, author, teacher, doctor, pop star, journalist to climb Mount Everest, solve world hunger, and maybe win Dancing with the Stars. People would laugh as I jammed infinity into the years ahead. They didn't realize that I wasn't joking. Some deep part of me really believed that I had enough life to live every adventure I could pluck off of a TV screen or out of a book. My bucket list became the whole globe. Future me danced through rainforests and explored cathedrals, met dignitaries, restored dignity, dug for treasure. I figured if God created this whole world and called all of it good, well then I wanted all of the good. This thirsty heart, this soul unsatisfied, time and realistic adults began to whittle down my life choices until I was left to grow up with a backpack of big desires and no idea how they'd be met. The black hole in my chest sounds like cracking every book spine, sounds like a pencil scratching relentlessly, the constant click of a keyboard, an engine always whirring, sounds like shaking every hand, greeting every person. And it's not that I'm afraid of being bored or alone. It's that I fear leaving a world of unturned stones, untold stories, unsolved suffering. What do I do with this gaping hunger in this body? The lifetimes it would take to live the life I want, but the littlest soul. She said God wouldn't give us desires he couldn't meet. So when God held this heart and sent it beating, he left fingerprints the size of everything. And I arrive at today still searching for the hands that shaped me. You see, you and me, we were molded by infinity. And in our simplicity, we begin to worry that nothing can fill those fingerprints. We start to worry that we can't fix all the pain we break for, or find all the adventures we dreamed of. But I don't think God would give us endless loves and ending lives just so we would leave the world empty. The echo between our ribs cries for songs beyond this dry bones world. It says, leave that broken water jug, daughter. Don't you realize I've got fountains for that parched soul? Don't you realize all the hunger in your belly won't be fed with bread? We slow down, take off our backpacks, find the adventure God mapped in fingerprints long before we breathed, because we don't get to take every trip, see every beauty, fix every hurt, live every life. But hey, isn't the one we've got just what the world needs? I know! High school kids! Damn! I'm like, I wish I had written that. F minus. Okay, I have a couple other student poems too. This one is called And by Bree. And some time has passed, but I still feel the same. And don't leave this door open or the lights on, and stop trying to fix everything all the time. And don't raise your voice, you'll make me cry. And please stop yelling at him like that, he didn't know. And please believe me when I tell you things, I'm not lying. And stop calling me dramatic for giving a shit. And please don't leave me like him, I'll be better. And I won't miss dinner or count calories, and I'll stop weighing myself every morning and before bed. And I say this knowing it's not true, but I'm trying to please you and be a better person, but the world isn't very kind. And I'm struggling to breathe the fresh air around me, and I want to disappear under my blankets and float in complete nothingness. And I'm tired of never being able to put an end to something and just let it be, but here we are continuing on and on and on with no breaks, because life doesn't freeze time to let you run in fields and play games or just exist in peace for a minute. And yet I try so hard to stop time and take a moment, and all I'm met with is nothing but myself, and I can't handle that. Let's do In Another Universe. This is by Deja, who doesn't know I'm reading this poem. She wrote it like a few days ago and just turned it in. It was like an exercise poem that usually, they just kind of, they throw away poems for the kids. And I was like, that's good. That's a good one. So anyway, this is In Another Universe. Maybe in another universe, I can travel the world with the love of my life. Maybe in another universe, we can visit a corn maze and laugh over getting lost. Maybe in another universe, we can drink pina coladas on the water. Maybe in another universe, we can explore a red rock desert. But in this universe, I seem to always come across heartbreak. In this universe, they are laughing at me, not with me. In this universe, I'm drinking myself to sleep. In this universe, I am an open sesame to disaster. All right, the last student piece I'll read, and then I've got a couple of mine. This is by Sabrina. It's called, this title stopped me in my tracks. This title is God is the Drunk Who Lives Across the Street. It's so good. Right.
No God.
God is the drunk who lives across the street. You look at the world like they hung the moon and painted the stars, like they sculpted the mountains from air-dry clay and dug out the oceans with a plastic shovel. The world looks at you like a passing thought, like a coin lost to couch cushions, like an ashtray nobody bothers to use, like an old pencil with a broken tip. Because in the grand scheme of the world, written by either gods or the drunk who lives across the street, you are nothing more than a blot of ink on miles of paper, or a grain of sand in the sea that will never see the gleam of the sun. So you know that, right? You're teachers of poetry. It's unbelievable what they come up with. It really is. All right, so this is a poem that I wrote a few years back, but after my brother died, and I haven't been able to read it, and I was like, maybe a few years in, I can do it now. So I'm trying it out on you. It's called It's Been 84 Days. It's been 84 days, and I'm not sleeping, and bereavement days are capped at 4 per incident, but he dies over and over. Grief is 1,000 tiny deaths. Each time I hold his possessions, each time I pass his photograph in the hallway, each time I reach for the milk, the carrots, the leftovers, he's there on the fridge, smiling on folded cardstock. It's been 84 days, and the social allowance for being sad expired about 75 days ago. I face the mirror and bow, set my intention, and focus my breath. Life will push us, the yogi warns. We need to be grounded, sure, but it's been 84 days and I've not yet learned to grieve. The glow of the salt lamps casts a ruddy glow. Adam. It means red, made of red earth. My mom says he was born red and screaming. Biblical Adam, the first human, was born from clay, red. Human, from humando, from earth, made by the hands of God. Grounded, we need to be grounded, the yogi says. Life is hard, but your breath is stronger, he says. You are stronger than you believe, he says. I want to see strong warriors here. My muscles tremble, my balance is off. I think of my father, going in to wake his son already cold by morning. Strong warriors, he repeats, and I think of my mother, collapsed into my arms, screaming. Be stronger than the challenge, lift from the heart, he coos, and I weep because I am here, alive and red-faced and breathing, and my brother is dead, and everything feels impossible, and I've already breathed into challenge, and I've already been strong. Brothers and sisters, believe in your strength, he says, and I weep. I hate him. I hate this. 84 down dogs, 84 chaturangas, hands to floor, face to sky, the audacity of breath to make me move. With each twist, each burning movement, flow, he says, flow with your breath. When you want to give up, breathe harder. And I do, and I do, and I do, and I hate him more each time. And he tells us again how strong we are, and I sob into my sweaty towel. It's been 84 days of waking and dressing and living, waking and dressing and living and sleeping, sleeping, trying to sleep and waking and dressing and smiling and doing the work and doing the work and doing the work. Feel yourself smile, he says. You're doing it, he says, and I am, I guess. Invite peace and stillness, he tells us, and I lie there, soaked in tears and sweat. I think of my brother, beautiful and angular. I think of his stillness now, and I whisper his name. A heartbeat in the red air. Adam, Adam, Adam. This next poem is for my daughter who is about to turn 1, and she just started walking, and so naturally, everything's a disaster. This is called Love Poem for the Anxious, trademark. She comes to me, sloppy, open-mouthed kisses and sticky fingers. I'm tired, but I will never decline. This love is lunacy. I've become unhinged and dangerous, the way all of us do when our hearts slink away from our bodies and then bolt. This is a love poem for those of us who love so hard we expect catastrophe, who wake startled to every noise, sure it is invasion, a prowler, bears, or alien attack. What if is its own kind of addiction? What if she swallows a wayward magnet? What if I slip while I'm holding her outside on the deck? What if we get T-boned by a semi-truck and end up in the lake and I can't undo her stupid car seat buckles? And what if there's a trace of honey in this? Honey is baby poison. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Does the babysitter know that? I study magnificent eyelashes in the light of 1 a.m. moon glow. I listen for every breath, enfold her in my body armor, and stand guard against terrors, both real and imagined. Soft skull, delicate bones, my fearless explorer of staircases and furniture cliffs. How am I doing on time? I have no idea.
A couple more.
Well, I think this is the only one I have left. So
One more.
this is a poem that I wrote a few years ago, and I was texting Jean about this, and I was like, I think I'm just gonna write a poem about drunk birds, but in like a series of haiku. And she was like, yes, do it, because that's generally our relationship. I asked her if I should do something, and she says yes. And it goes both ways too. She's like, do I need this thing? I'm like, yeah, obviously you do, yeah. Okay, so this is Drunk Birds, a haiku series. There's a quick little epigraph, and that is that there's an article about the cedar waxwing birds, and they are apparently notorious for eating fermented berries that fall to the ground and then acting a fool because they get drunk and they're like, you know. So I was like, well, that's brilliant. I'm going to write about the drunk birds. Okay, so this is Drunk Birds, a haiku series. 2 larks clutch vodka 7s while Jay swishes a dry martini. Owl nurses a Coke, designated driver, he can't hold his liquor. For Raven, Glenlivet, Sparrow prefers Zinfandel, red fruit with pepper. Slurred chirps and hiccups, they're getting a little bold. Truth or dare, streaking. That red-breasted wren keeps cocking her head at you. Beak hinges loosen. Blinking hard, a thrush staggers by, spilling his beer, tries to play it cool. I don't know, man. It's just really easy to talk to you. All flushed, all fuzzy. Feathers ruffled, damp. They're dancing on spindly legs, bobbing heads, wings out. The crows are leaning squinty-eyed. They watch the crowd. Caw, ladybirds, caw. Poor chickadee fell on the dance floor. Tits popped out. It's all on YouTube. The osprey sends a dick pic to the mockingbird, who tweets it, laughing. He said he loved me. Inconsolable robin cries in the bathroom, while Cardinal takes a selfie with the hummingbirds, #moving on. How about another before we head to my nest? Warbler's one night stand. 2 swallows make out in the parking lot beside a vomiting finch. Robin rebounded, found Sparrow, but then passed out in the corner booth. The starlings murmur. They're planning a flash mob that can't hear each other. When the lights come on, frayed plumage shields their eyes. Time to find a ride. Thank
you. One more time for Ashley. This microphone stand is angering me. Okay. The Rochester and surrounding area people will meander out quietly without anybody knowing.
Rochester's so far away.
Everybody wave. Everybody wave. They're amazing. Okay. Our next poet, Jennifer Hernandez. Jennifer Hernandez teaches immigrant youth and writes poetry, flash, and creative nonfiction. Publications include Radical Teacher, Talking Stick. Hey, I was in Talking Stick. And this was 2020. Minnesotans write about pandemics and social justice in a historic year. Her poem, Taco Love, was featured in Poetry in the Park in the Dark, sponsored by the St. Paul Almanac. And her work can also be found at Richfield Lake Poetry Walk. I'm still mad about that. I didn't know about it. I grew up in Richfield, literally Where that is, my house is like 100 feet from there. Like,
They're like, it's coming up again.
okay,
It's like it's an annual
for me to
thing.
not be around that lake is insane. I would write poems walking around that lake my entire teenage years. Okay.
Right now.
Okay, please somebody send me the link. Okay. I have to get in. Okay. And the Mankato Poetry Walk, which I am on, and have only been to Mankato like 3 times.
I haven't been there yet. So there we go.
She loves to perform her work, and it's the interaction between word and audience is where the magic lies. Everybody, please put your hands together for Jennifer Hernandez.
Hey there.
How do you do?
So here we go. So I think this is so cool, this whole thing about having teachers of poetry here. And I'm honored to read with all of you. I tell this story, you know, they ask you sometimes, how did you get into writing poetry? And I always liked writing, but I didn't realize that poetry was my genre until literally I was teaching a poetry lesson to 7th graders. And I had some template that I'd gotten from one of my fellow teachers, and it was one of those kind of senses poems, right? Like an I am poem, and then like blanks on the worksheet, right? Where you list like, you know, some things that you hear that represent you, and some like tastes that represent you. And I'm like doing a model lesson for the students, and I was like, holy shit, I'm good at this. I like this. This is fun. I think I'm going to write poetry now. And so I have been doing that. So, and I teach middle schoolers. Oh my God. So it's really cool to be here with you grown-ups. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So,
air quotes on the grown-up.
you know, that's okay. I will take any kind of grown-ups. It's April in the middle school. Seriously. Okay. So I'm gonna start out tonight. Tomorrow's an anniversary, you guys. Tomorrow is an anniversary. Okay, right? April, 6 years now. 6 years now. So this is a poem that I wrote 6 years ago. All right. And if I can get the page open to the right page, there it is. It is called April 21st, 2016, in memoriam. After night rains, the parking lot and sidewalk are littered with bodies of earthworms, still vital. As I walk into work, I want to gather everyone into a basket, deliver them back to the soil. The air smells like dead fish. Skinny worms, fat night crawlers lie pink and vulnerable against gray pavement. The same rain that awakens spring plants coaxes worms to surface, promises sex, change, hastens death. I don't want to see their dried husks in the afternoon, all life sun sucked out, crumpled body in an elevator. Too late call to 911. Damn worms. Why do I even care? Is it their lilac blossom fragility? To have tissue opened, insides exposed with a razor's thin slice. For any of us, a single word spilled could be the final cut or the basket's cradling groove. Rain that falls on one side of the house, but not the other. I found out about that news like on my 6th period prep. You know, it'd been like a normal day at the middle school, and I like had a prep period, and I was like, it's April and I don't feel like doing any work. I'm just gonna sit and open up my computer, and went, oh my God, right? Yeah. All right. So this is one that I wrote last week, and it's kind of a poem, and I know this is Poets and Pints, it's kind of a poem and it's kind of a prose poem anyway. And I wrote it, and I wrote it while I was giving MCA reading tests. Shh, if anyone's from MDE, you didn't hear that, so maybe I wasn't really writing it while I was giving standardized tests, because I was actively monitoring my standardized tests, of course. Okay, so just so we have that all clear. This one's called Middle Schools Are Not Meant to Be Quiet. Snowing in mid-April, baby flakes outside my classroom window. Most melt when they hit pavement, still yellow grass, freckled, frozen white. Students inside, speechless, eerily so, in silent rows. Chromebooks open, eyes mostly on screens, faces bathed in blue light, phones off in envelopes, under desks, under threat of invalidation. These 8th graders, mere weeks from freshmen, last took MCAs in 5th grade. The pandemic closed schools in March of their 6th grade year, sent us all into distance learning, fumbling our way through Schoology and social isolation, a world turned upside down with fear and not knowing. Last year, one April morning, back in person, MCA season, a volley of shots rang out in the hallway of our school. In the 7th grade wing, these kids didn't hear it, but I did. Passing time between advisory and first hour. My para and I in the doorway chatting, pop, 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 from around the corner. Her eyes big, my chest constricted before we could put words to fears. A torrent of students rushed past, running from sounds that we knew in the part of our brains more primitive than language were not fireworks. Lock the door, lock the door. Miss Nellie incanted with urgency, not panic. I fumbled. Why wouldn't my fingers work? Those 8th graders in front of me now didn't hear the shots, but they did sit on the floor in the dark, like me, for 36 minutes with no news from the intercom after the initial call. This is a lockdown. Follow lockdown procedures. This is not a drill. I sat on the floor of my classroom near the door, hand in Miss Nellie's, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, as I had learned in childbirth class 23 years before. Both of us sentinels. Our students on the opposite side, under desks, lining the wall, out of view, away from the door. There were no more shots. There were no more sounds. Only quiet. Maybe footsteps. Maybe not. Uncertainty. Fear. Hope. True story. So I like to go with the hope part. We teach this in 8th grade. I have a student poem now. We have, I teach English learners. So I said I work with immigrant kids. I work with English learners at school. Best job in the school. Best job in the school. But I also co-teach in 8th grade English and 6th grade English. And one of our units in 8th grade English, we do a Holocaust unit every year, which is a rough thing and very necessary to teach, but we try to focus on the hope part of it. Like we talk about light in the darkness and, you know, how people help in very difficult situations. Super applicable to like so many things that are going on in our world. And this is a found poem that we do with the kids. This is actually a diary entry from Anne Frank. And so they read the diary entry and then they do a found poem. And this is one from a student named Leslie. Dear Kitty, day and night, family's gone, everyone is afraid. The end in sight. As for us, it is quiet and safe. We brighten up. we ought to help and save, but there's nothing we can do. The whole world waits. I think about these kids. You see these stories about like teachers from Ukraine right now who are wherever and they're meeting virtually with their students who are wherever. And I'm like, oh my God, they're amazing. It's amazing. The kids need it, right? Okay. One short one from students. So I did a bunch of little poetry stuff because the thing that I like to do with middle school kids, right, is they're like, some of them, a lot of them like already hate poetry because the problem is, right, and I always tell them this, I'm like, the problem is that some of the poetry teachers that they're getting are teachers who like don't really like poetry themselves, but they were told that they have to teach poetry, right? I mean, this is real. And I think kids learn to hate poetry from like English teachers who are nervous about teaching poetry and have been taught themselves by teachers who are like, yep, let's read this poem, let's do some MCA prep, and let's read this poem and let's answer some multiple choice questions about it. And they're all right and wrong. And as poets, we know that that's like the stupidest thing ever. So my whole goal with kids is like, you know what, there's no right and wrong answers and we're not doing multiple choice questions and we're just gonna read this and I want you to like draw pictures of what you think you see and you know what, you're all right. And then we're gonna write some words and you know what, everything you say is right. And so like, this is what we try to do. And so I'm trying to deprogram them basically. So we do like, you know, we do haiku and we do acrostic. So this is a co-created acrostic with a 6th grade group of English learners. And it's about spring because hope, right? So snow starts to melt, playing in the park, rain wets the land, iris opens, night falls later, go walk under the stars. And I have one more because, you know, there's teachers here and the most awesome thing about being teachers is what? Summer, okay, summer. Like my aunt had a magnet on the fridge, which I'm like, I get when she dies that says, the best part of being a teacher, June, July, and August, yes. Okay, and so this one, it talks about the end of summer, so we're not getting rid of summer, but it talks about summer. So it's short and it's called Elemental. And it's, you know, based on stuff that I heard when I was standing in my backyard. Here we go. Girls shriek in the pool, splash at each other. The shock of cool water on warm skin. Isn't it dissonance that drives us to surface? Gulping great mouthfuls of clean air, untainted by wildfire. I smile for no reason, for every reason. Summer is nearly over. But we're taking the camper out under the stars one last weekend. All right. Thank
Keep it going for Jennifer Hernandez. So, I haven't been getting writing prompts because I'm not a poetry teacher. So I forgot. So, Katie, what you got? Anything? Yeah, it's super easy.
Write a poem about a color.
Yeah.
Write a poem about a color. And if you're colorblind, write a poem about gray. All right. So the next poet works with an organization. I'll read her bio, but I've heard of this organization, 826, and this is 826 MSP, obviously, because we're here. But it's a really cool organization, and there are these groovy little cards on the table with QR codes and whatever. So if you want more information about what they do, please pick one of these up and take it with you, or just snap a QR of the groovy code. Okay, here we go. Ellen Fee is an educator and writer who lives in St. Paul. Ellen works and teaches at 826 MSP, a Minneapolis nonprofit that provides writing and publishing programs to Twin Cities K through 12 students. She was also a 2019 winner of Public Art St. Paul's Sidewalk Poetry Contest. Nice. Aside from her work, Ellen likes to spend her time gardening, cooking, camping, and doing crossword puzzles. Everybody, put your hands together for Ellen Fee. Let me fix the mic. So let me do this too. It keeps falling forward. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, my name is Ellen. I work at 826 MSP, which is a nonprofit in South Minneapolis. I won't give you the entire spiel now, but I am really excited to be sharing, especially some of my students' voices with you. This impressive stack of books that I have with me is certainly not written by me, but written by the students in specifically our after-school writing lab program, which is one of the programs that I mainly work in. So I'll get started. I'm going to share a couple poems from our students, and then I try to pick a few of mine that I think will be in good conversation with them as well. So I'm going to start with a couple about family. I'll share a couple poems from this same prompt, but these are what I like to call copycat poems, because who doesn't love to get permission to be a copycat once in a while. So these poems are based on a poem by Nikki Giovanni called I Am a Mirror. So this one is by Ayub, grade 7. This was written this fall. I am a mirror. I reflect the cooking of my mother, the strength of my uncle, the silliness of my father, the little smarts of my brothers, the ideas from myself, and the eyes from my aunt. Because of all this, it makes me feel special inside myself. All right, and then another from the same prompt. This was from several years ago, though. This is one of my all-time favorites. It's in my email signature. This is I Am a Mirror by Salma, grade 3. I reflect the cuteness of my baby sister. I am humble because of my mother. I am strong because of my father. I can stand up for myself because of my sister. I reflect the greatness of my grandma. Now I can change the world. And then I've got a couple from me that I'll share with you. I am terribly behind, but I love commemorative poems like occasions, inauguration poems, all of that. I just get a kick out of it. So when I was in college and my very first baby cousin was born, that would be the kid of one of my cousins on my mom's side, I was so excited that I wrote a sonnet for her. And now I have 5. and I only have 2 poems done. When the first cousin was born, I was so excited that I think just the pure anticipation brought the poem out. But now that I have a few more, I've been trying to wait to get to know them a little bit. So the first one is called Elise's Second Song. This is from my baby cousin Elise. By the time your fingers are big enough to wiggle between that infamous half step, it will be old news. You will be off seeking stranger questions, showing us which stars are farther apart and rubbing your thumb against the moon, proud of your shadow. It's the effortless leap of interval, that even call to your origins paired with the easy newness of your dark hair against the setting sky. In no time, you will have done away with gravity entirely somehow, and we smile because we're unsurprised. You were born already vast. You were born already singing. And this next one is for my baby cousin Alistair, or Allie. So this is for Allie. If I say yellow is my favorite color, you'll materialize in the doorway, fists full of crumpled caution tape. If I mention blueberries, I begin to feel them squish in all my right-hand pockets. You listen like a star someone whispers all their wishes to. Your mom was right to call you that. Watching you run on the playground, I haven't yet decided if you're the stoic center of our universe or in an orbit all your own, circling something only you can see. Either way, it's you who has all the answers and, for that matter, the questions. And then it really wouldn't be a poetry reading if we didn't have some moon poems.
Yeah, moon!
So, let's see. I'll read my student poems first, and then I'll share mine, of course. So these are 2 again from the same prompt, which was like about personification, I think, and I had 2 students who chose to be the moon. So this first one is called, I wish maybe I'll try to show it to you, The Moon with many O's. Written by a 7th grader named Abdullahi a few years ago. Okay, he says, I am a moon because I am big and popular.
That is the greatest poem.
I have no company anytime but Earth talks to me. Humans come by, talk to me, and play with me. I am fun and dark. I get mad and I beat the sun. I am the moon. Everyone wants to see me move. All right, and then I've got one called Light Moon from a student named Sabrine. She wrote this when she was in 8th grade, and to my horror and delight, I think she's a junior in high school now, and she's amazing. So when she wrote this poem, she told me she wrote it thinking about a time before she came to the US when she was traveling with her family, and sometimes having to sleep in many different places, but that she would always see the moon in the sky, and that was her constant. So she says, I am the moon. Most people like to see me. My friends are stars, and my best friend's Sabrine. I am light. I am good for all people. Without me, the night is dark. I make the little kids sleep when they look at me. I am everything. All right, and I'll read you mine. This was written in 2019. If you might remember, we had a lunar eclipse, and all the poets came out. Something really embarrassing that I realized this year. I wrote this in 2019, and I was feeling like the poem had a lot of just like rushing and movement and everything. And I can't believe this, but I titled it Zoom. And then I opened it back up in 2021, and I was like, yeah. So I am open to new title suggestions. This one's a little longer, so thank you for listening. All right. They say an eclipse makes the animals more wild, and we are no different. Stomping and snorting hot air through our teeth, we slam the back door and skitter rabbits into the frozen air. It is 1 degree above zero and hollowly black, the kind of northern night we pin proud to our shoulders, an icy epaulette. We are darting, squinting, breath billowing from our red nostrils, 3 winter dragons. Alone on the block, we prowl our tiny yard for the best vantage point to the changing sky. Then the neighbors appear and we wave to hide the glint in our eyes, the fire in our throats. Lying stiff on the ice over grass, we push brash, barking laps from our heavy bellies and watch the sound hook over the sliver of moon left above, something new to cast our shadows on. At a break in our cackles, we hear the gentle voices of our neighbors and our throats freeze open. They are singing, cooing harmonies up to space, full chords like a hymn I never learned. I change. I remember my rubber boots, my trimmed nails, smooth molars. The snarling fades into the soft panic of true wildness. The moon is a full red sponge, and I wait for it to drip onto my eyelids. I press my back to the hard earth and ask it to hold me. There is a ride at the county fair that whips people up like a centrifuge and presses their bodies to the walls with its force. I am glued to a planet. I am hurtling. I am a marble a boy's chubby fingers could flick through the dust. Wild and powerless. What wild really means. No shadow of mine that wouldn't be overcast by the rock beneath me. The neighbor's song is over, but there's a calm drone, a hum ringing in the key of their hymn. I turn my head to watch their voices lift, but the yard is empty and dark. All right, and like some other people here, I too have some spring poems to give us some hope here. All right, so I'm going to start with a poem from a student named Hannah. My friend Danielle knows Hannah. She always wore the fluffiest dresses. She wrote this when she was in 2nd grade. I do work with students who are as young as 1st grade or 7 years old, and I am a a very staunch defender of their intellect and abilities when it comes to creative writing. So I'll fight you about that. So this is a poem she wrote called Cycle Frog. A little egg hatches in a beautiful pond, then becomes a tadpole with beautiful legs and a tail with his mom and snuggles with her. Then becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and becomes a toddler, then a kid, then a teenager, then an adult, and gets a kid, and the cycle goes all over again. That's just one of my All right, and then I've got a poem called Remember. This was written by a student named Yahya. He was in 6th grade when he wrote this. This is another copycat poem. It is based on a poem by Joy Harjo, I think also called Remember. Remember the sky smiling down on you, and the earth looking up to you. Remember the rain washing away bad days, also the snow feeding good days. Remember the animals enjoying their lives. Remember your life, that's what brought you here. One of truly many spring poems in my Google Drive, but I'll just give you one. This is a poem I wrote while I was babysitting, speaking of kids. It's called New Plot. Some people garden just to put their hands in the dirt. We know it's true because of how good it feels. The few square feet I dug for us open up to infinities of dirt. 7 sunflowers, 8 nasturtiums, a patch of lettuce for the guinea pig. Infinities. We stick our fingers into a galaxy of worms and roly-polies. Everything's an illusion, right? Your tender voice from a hammock perch. I say we're a world inside a flower, and another flower, and another flower, and another flower, and another flower. Thank you. Please talk to me if you have questions about 826 if you want to volunteer, or if you're a teacher in Minneapolis or St. Paul. Find me. Thanks.
Keep it going for L&B. I think our last prompt before we read stuff out of the box will be seasons, since she brought forth the concept. All right.
Or the moon.
Or the moon! If it only has 2 O's, we're going to throw it out. Our 8th feature for the evening. 8! This is amazing. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I even cut some out, but I couldn't cut any more without making it sound weird. All right. Tamiko French is a seasoned dance and performance art instructor with more than 20 years experience in various fast-paced dance education environments. Over the years, her time back here in her hometown, she's built partnerships and curated experiences between student community and arts organizations such as the Ordway Center for the Performing Arts, Northrop Auditorium, the Cowell Center, Walker Arts Center, the Guthrie Theater, Minneapolis Institute of Art, and more. Sharing with the youth pathways to careers through arts education and performance. She's been working with North High School's dance program and arts integration for the last 6 years and has used these partnerships to develop continuous pathways to demonstrate the youth's artistic excellence in the community. She's now clearing a path for her solo interdisciplinary work to emerge again. Seeded through her time as an arts educator at North High, I know several people graduated from North High, and I have a friend who knows you, Amy. She was going to come, but she didn't make it, I guess. She has worked many different organizations. She's awarded a director's slot in the American High School Theater Festival set in Edinburgh Fringe Festival for 2020. Wow. And it was then she took a leap of faith in creating Legacy Arts Group LLC to help carve the path of the original work, who co-wrote and directed with the cast. Due to the pandemic, the tour is extended to 2022. This project has been supported by many local organizations. Tamiko synergizes text props recorded and physically played music, fashion, and dance to build a rooted expression of connectedness and reflection of the human condition. Everybody, please put your hands together for Tamiko French.
Well, I'm very honored to be here in a room full of teachers, fellow teachers, and such decorated folks. I am just honored, I'll say that. So my work that I will share tonight is from The Beautiful Ugly, which is a co-written and directed work between me and my cast. I started at North High School with 13 kids. And as we all know as teachers, everyone faces different challenges. And through the pandemic, reared their ugly heads and changed hearts and minds of what was possible for international travel, for the opportunity to use arts as a change maker in their lives and in the community. And as a teacher, standing on the shoulders and under the flames of every teacher that has ever lit my fire, I will not allow my kids to miss an opportunity that they have never had. It is the first opportunity Minneapolis has been given to go to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And these young people have something to say.
Yeah.
So, my heart has been rooted in making sure that they have a place at every seat that I sit. They can't come in here. But they are present in the decision making. They are able to see a way forward inside of directing a play, of having a soundtrack, of scoring, of writing the music, all of the layers. We had the same opportunity when I was at North. It's no different. It's just releasing the ego and allowing and invigorating their own amazingness to shine through, which all of you do beautifully. So this particular couple of pieces is from a writing prompt that I gave my cast, and it is their 2 years in review. So they're coming from a perspective of seeing their whole world turned upside down. And these are high school students. So this first piece, I'm going to say, it is written poem and song form transposed on guitar and piano by Judah Gardner. Lord, all of that. Okay, it's called Aftermath. What was I like before my house was a cage and I'm trapped inside? What did I do before I stared at the ceiling in my room? And how many friends did I have because it was convenient? And what was I like before I was questioning everything in my mind? The days blur in front of my face and I keep trying to turn the page, but every step forward is 2 steps back. What happens in this aftermath? Time flying by right in front of my eyes. Oh, some things you just can't get back. What happens in this aftermath? Wanting the days when back in life wasn't stuck in a holding phase, fearing the truth. What happens to the ones the world wants to use, and how many lives will forever be changed but it cast aside, and wanting the days back when life wasn't stuck playing waiting games. The world burns in front of my face. I keep trying to find my place, but every step forward is 2 steps back. What happens in the aftermath? Time is flying by right in front of my eyes, and some things you just can't get back. What happens in the aftermath? That's it. The next piece is I Think, and this one is by Mosiah Thomas, an alum Well, not alum, he will be an alumnus student, he's graduating this year, so. He's been with me since the day of our cast, and I'm so very proud of him. So, true feelings in this poem, I think. He walks to school every day, so. Try to embody his energy. I hope you get to see him soon. Okay, I think cops should unknowingly be set up in situations to see if they treat other races differently. I think majority white schools should be shown the videos of police brutality so they get some of my PTSD. And I think schools should spend an extra 3 to 6 months in your final year to teach you about credit. I think the earth should be given a pandemic every 10 years so that the idea that there's better things to do than hurt others never goes away. I think schools should make their kids feed the homeless every year so that they understand to never lose respect for the people they might see below them. I think Black majority schools should watch the movie John Wick with a Black main character so they never lose the power this world tries to take from them. I think white kids should hear gunshots on their way to school so they learn why I walk so fast. I think I don't have enough of the answers, but I know that I need your help to try to figure it out. All right, so this next section is from the section of our play called Shape It. I wrote this section as a teacher reflecting on all of the layers of students' life that we experience. We miss opportunities as teachers. We are caught up in moments and places and seconds and essences, and sometimes that thing that happens over there we don't catch. And who catches it? And who has to be the counselor in that moment? Who has to be the balm in those moments? And sometimes the teacher is so focused on the goal that they miss the gears turning in their head and the shutting down. And you can't always be an octopus. So, Shape It. This is 2 selections from Shape It. One is from the character John and one is from Vontae. I will be kind of shape-shifting into these characters, so. I know she thinks I'm corny for being the only one to know the story of how my parents met. And I think it's romantic. Yet I play it off like I'm harder than nails and my heart's a sail pushing a boat from shore to shore, not sure what I should be looking for, but I know. I mean, I've known all along. I hide behind my legacy, shrug off my feelings, surround myself with stereotypes, sound bites, hashtags, and fads that stamp me as a regular young Black man, but I'm not. And I want to tell her, but I'm scared. And I know how color theory works, and aromatherapy is her song, and green energy solution can save our world, but why does it feel so wrong to be honest? The one thing they never prepared me for is staring me in the face. Death grip of love's embrace. I need some water. John is in love. The other side of the coin. When are we going to stop all this syncopated talking to deal with the real issue in the way? What purpose does it serve to put my essence on display? It ain't like you're going to really do something about it anyway. You hanging up in the hallway doesn't make my problems go away. Who's going to show me how this can change my life in a real way? Are you? Are you really going to take the time? You always want my buy-in in what you're selling, but what about your investment in what I got? It ain't your words, it's your actions. I'll shoot your shot. I'll wait. No, really, I'll wait. I didn't think so. And that's why I'm going to go to sleep in your class. And that's why I might skip, and I don't care that I pass, because my life is my life and the life I did not choose. And no matter what you do, it leaves a bruise that school can't fix. Now you want to put me on a pedestal and put my essence in the mix? Nah, I'll pass. I'll let these 20 minutes pass so I can work my way through all these empty classes. Oh, I swear y'all be killing me. I need to pick up my rock and do the thing that I'm made for. Better yet, let's go see Shay brother who got work for me because my brother need a way to get this shit off because life hurts and I need to numb it. Now, that perspective, if you work in an urban environment or not, because I've seen this in many facets. I used to work as a substance abuse treatment counselor in Kansas City, Missouri, and the layers and the walks of life that come through those doors are varied, and you can hear that perspective from every walk of life. So the moments and memories that us as teachers miss when we ask a question that triggers them, when they might not understand our intent, that comes from just a reaction, trigger, that builds angst and can later be quelled by your passions, giving them a chance to escape for a moment. All right, this last piece, I think I have just a moment here. Okay, it's called Who Is Left? I am a product of the Minneapolis Public School District, coming from the L shape of Hall, Franklin, and North. And I was wooed by art early, as at Sheridan in 4th grade, they reared us with aptitude testing. And I was a scientist by test. And I got in 8th grade, and the tours came and North's teacher, if you know her, Colleen Callahan, comes with her students and they say, look at what you can do with your life. And I say, I want to do that. I want to be Janet Jackson. I don't want to do science. What is that? Even though I had done it for years and years and years with 4th grade through 8th. Anyway, arts became the path. And here I am back in a bunch of different worlds. So Who Is Left is a love letter to every person who has lost someone in the turbulent street that I have seen over my life. And as part of the struggle and solidarity to make safer streets, minds, hearts, and souls. His last breath bathed the electrified air with technicolor waves. Blast me back to the 80s days, train tracks riddled with abandoned cars, housing devious plots of urban ruin. This unhatched decades of hallowed misery for these your children. Yet too frail from the viper's graze and programmed fear of yesteryear's grip, slipped deeper into the control of society and powers that be drowning the fight in he to see things differently. Blend in, fall in line with the script you see. As his eyes glaze over, one by one they came over in numbers. Cell phones, whispers, tears, before a siren pierced the air. Laying their lifeless grandma's hands burned as she felt his spirit purged from his body. She wailed at the crowd, gathering, knowing in her gut. Her baby was snatched from this world at just 15 years old. Like coal pressed upon pressure on all sides, she spent her elder life circling around him, fiercely protecting the diamond inside, but the streets were too sweet for this worker bee not to eat. Fruits of this toxic harvest seeped out the cracks of his teeth, and she wept. Because she knew she couldn't be all he needed. She pleaded with them all as she made her way, shouting, Jesus, God, no, with each step she made. Everyone knew her. She was like Big Mama to us all. She was, now baby, you know better than that. And watch yourself when we stumble or fall. She said, now look out for my boy, to all that come around. And the day she went to the doctor, this is what she found. A group shrugging shoulders, unknowing of the who, what, when, why, where, and how of his death. Her soul cried as her knees reverberated the ground, head lowered, reaching to close his eyes. As she touched his cold body and gripped his hand, lights began to flash all around, and we were all frozen. And time, at a slow pace, Grandma pressed one palm to the ground as she shook, praying with ferocity, God, bring my baby back. No one was safe from tears. EMS reluctantly pry her away as they unpack gear, and with each process they apply, you can see it shave a layer of pride Grandma carefully laid. President, inventor, NASA, civil rights activist, champion of new Jim Crow, and the dream and hope of the slave left her body as they removed the defibrillator. Grandma looked around, a shell of herself just 5 short minutes ago, and forever changed. Next words from her weighted on our necks like heavy chains. There's no one left to believe. There's no one left to guide the footsteps of the youth. There's no one left to believe. There's no one left to guide the footsteps of the youth. That's what she said to me as her grandson lay there dying in the street. What are we left to do when the youth decide to go their own way? Who will be left to believe? Who will be left to guide the footsteps of the youth? Who will be left to believe? Who will be left to guide the footsteps of the youth? That's you. That's you. That's you.
Keep it going. Tamiko French. Katie, please join me on the stage. I'm going to put you over here.
Okay.
We're going to put this little stool between us, because otherwise we'll fight. Okay. So we're going to read your treasures now. Katie, you
Oh, I'm
first.
gonna be first.
You get to be first.
Can I do a quick plug for an event on Friday?
No. Yes.
It's a poetry event.
Yes. Of
It's
course.
on Earth Day. I also heard some folks who've been involved with like St. Paul Almanac stuff. I don't know if Jennifer's still here, but oh yay. So the St. Paul Almanac on Friday has a global poetry reading. It's going to be at White Bear Center for the Arts in White Bear Lake. It starts at 6:30 p.m. It's free, and people from the community are going to be sharing poems in different languages. So you'll hear poetry in 15 different languages. It's going to be really cool. Some people are reading original works, some are just reading beloved poems, but it's going to be so awesome. 6:30 p.m. Friday, White Bear Center for the
Is it
Arts.
15 languages at the same time?
No.
Okay. That would be chaotic.
Okay, so, all right. This is an acrostic poem with the word beer. Batshit crazy, even on meds, even well rested. Rorschach tests are all the same.
Yeah!
All right, this is the one about teeth. Teeth. Teeth 2. Teeth 3. Teeth 4. Teeth 5. Ellipses.
I'm trying to think of which prompt this is. I'll just read it. My tongue starts to swell at the weight of the spotlight, building my fear of not hearing an applause. As I stand in the moonlight, my demons dance for strangers.
This one's called Trigger Warning, and then parenthetically, teeth. I'm a child. I know who I am. Defined by a symbol, a flag of rainbows. You choose to test my trust. I am keenly aware of my teeth.
What is poetry? Find the answer in the back part of your mind. You're not blind to words. What you heard is the description. Just know if you feel encryption, you're thinking too hard. There's good line breaks at the end of this. Too and hard are on their own lines.
This one's called The Moon! I love how it starts. Fuck you, clouds! Let me drink in your silver face. Glide over the contours of your seas. Save me, O moon! From the distance the earth imposes. That's from Chad.
This is a Tonka. When the car breaks down, I kick the bumper and swear, motherfucking fuck. Now what? I slump on the curb and contemplate the tree line.
This one's called Tonka on Tonight. I'm gonna assume it's Tonka. Fluorescent office. Pale pixels on my retinas. Blessed steering wheel leads to copper, to lighthouse, friends to words like a warm knife. This is also from Chad.
Tennessee Dick or Tragic Rhombus. These should be titles of poems. Instead, they are lyrical islands that make me laugh inside.
That one's also mine. Candy keeps drawing mine.
Sorry.
All right. What's it say? Okay. 2 banners on the back wall. Primarily blue. One text in the lighter blue. One abstract barrel with leaves. Or the pine cones. Welcome. The text 1 invites a curled edge. Says hospitality is informed. Like the pubs of England, which this room would like to be. Sorry, I'm bad at reading. That last part I said.
No, but that had figurative language. It was an object poem. Yes, good job. Nice. Here's another Tonka. Using the numbers of the syllables for each line. So, okay. 5 words float through the air. 7 beers. Oh wait, maybe I'm not supposed to read the numbers. Sorry. Okay, we'll try this again. Words float through the air. Beer sloshes in pint glasses. Bricks form a backdrop. Deep laughter provides relief as honest pain heals the room.
We seem to be getting poems and patterns here. This one's called Moon! They say the moon is made of cheese, but it would be nothing without me. Holstern, Guernsey, luscious Jersey, milk makers, bearer of ice cream and cheddar.
Yeah.
Hold on. There we go.
This is by Chavonn. This stool is a reminder that the tree it came from is no longer whole. I wonder if the tree feels an ache in its side at night, or if it looks where its missing limb would be and weeps.
Wow.
This is the one with the names. That's acrostic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This one is called Terry. So I assume it was written by Terry. Right? Okay. Taste errant rat rhombus yo-yo. Echo rave recall yes man tomorrow X's. Rolling reason yeoman toll house even. Rebel reveal rocket YouTube. Yellow toughened elevator. Raised racket yarn.
Tamiko is a Tanka. I am a jewel shining brightly in the dawn. I am an emerald reverberating green rays, synergizing with my heart.
Okay, I'm gonna try this. Tonight, this is a Tonka because the 5/7 is all written on there. Okay.
That's my husband's handwriting, so if you're struggling, I
Yeah,
can
here you
help
go. I'm gonna let you interpret that one.
Okay, I can read it. Tonight I thought I'll eat like a kid, mac and cheese, easy to chew, sweet, tomato ketchup dripping, heavy, wedding cake frosting. He does eat mac and cheese with ketchup, this is a true fact.
It also says, Katie, take out the trash when you get home. That's weird. All right. Seasons. In spring, ramps with lemon pepper. Summer, corn with cayenne pepper and butter, of course. Fall, squash, black cracked pepper and pinch of salt. Winter, skip the spices, eat cake.
At my age, I would be grateful for rabbit's teeth. I'd rather gnaw on carrots all day to keep them in check than watch them disappear bite by bite.
My smile, the way it form around my teeth is always the only quick compliment people see.
This is Charlie's handwriting.
Charlie? Damn
Whoa,
it.
some of this handwriting is wild. This is called Seasons. One for each incarnation in something create another formation. Spring, summer. I'll have to create another formation. Spring, summer, fall, winter bloom?
Winter bloom and spaceship.
And spaceship, bitches.
Teachers don't like slang, they don't read it very well. Okay, I don't know what the
We
theme
just
of
have a
this.
few more.
Okay. The candles are lying. I know they flicker and look waxen. Convincing light flickers flamenco and glows false.
Satanka, because of the way he drives, asking me to look in the blind spot now? Am I okay? Am I? Dude, I wish I would have driven.
Object. The cylinder glows like windows in the winter.
All right, here's a Charlie one. This one I think I can do. It's not April yet. January umpteenth is what the day is. Even though the calendar says for reals April, I'd feel more satisfied if the order was ordered. What?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
I love her. Yeah, okay, sure. You do you, dude. It's good.
Thank you. It's art. It's a visual poem. It's
Oh,
concrete
that's a
poem.
gift from you.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. All right, Tonka. Deep breaths and laughter. So many smiles in the room, words hold emotion. Dim lights hide watery eyes, grateful pairs of hands, crescendo. What a fun word, crescendo.
All right, this is our last one. Tatanka. I don't understand why I can't see well in dark. When all the world loves light, sun, fire, all that will shine. Don't worry, I'll be here at dusk. I was trying to do the innuendo, what Heather talked about.
You read all of mine.
Sorry. Or, yeah.
No,
You're
it's just
welcome.
weird.
Well, I'll let Tony, the actual host, close things out.
We're both the actual. Okay. First and foremost, everybody give a round of applause to Katie Vagnino. For helping me out. This show's only been 2 hours since we went live again, so 3 hours. I was like, Katie, can you help me, please? And she's like, sure. So thank you so much for being here. And then, of course, to our 8 features, I'm going to try to remember them all from the top of my head. Here we go. Kelly Travis, not here, but give a round of applause. Heather Lyke. Chavonn Wade Shen. And G. Prokott. Ashley Cardona. Jennifer Hernandez. Alan P. Tamiko French. And Peter left the room, but our artist Peter. He's amazing, and I thank everybody for being here. Be here next month. We got Debutante on stage next month, so be here because it's a free show with Debutante, and he's gonna start tearing down his stuff. So if you want to get one last quick look at the art, please do. Otherwise, please put your dishes in the bins on the bar, the bin on the bar, I should say. And also, otherwise, thank you so much for being here. We're here every third Wednesday. And so the next one, I believe, is May 18th, 7 p.m. That will only be a 2-hour show. And we'll be right here at Sisyphus. My name's Tony Plocido. I am your host and curator. And I thank you so much for being here. And thank you to all the poetry teachers. We love you. We're glad you exist. And keep teaching the youth and adults. Thank you. Everybody have a wonderful night. Wave at the camera. Okay.